What is going on, guys? Gaston right here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Canon EOS R pricing. And we've heard so many rumors and so many versions of what the camera is going to be priced. Now, today we bring you a leak from the guys at Canon Rumors, and this one is rated as CR3. Now remember the rating. CR1 is pretty much legit, CR2 is pretty much almost there, and CR3 is kind of like take it with a grain of salt. Now, they have been pretty spot on in the past with a lot of the things that they have been leaking about the R5. Now, in a prior video, we actually talked about the price and what we thought that the real price or the proper price for this camera should be. So, let's start talking about what Canon Rumors is stating that this camera is going to be priced at. And it comes out that this camera is said to be at around $4,000. Now, remember in that video that we filmed about a month ago, you can actually check it right here, we estimated that the price of this camera was going to be around $3,500 to $3,800. And the main reason is because this is the camera that is going to allow Canon to find redemption after releasing the Canon EOS R. So remember, a lot of people with the EOS R were very excited that finally they were going to get a camera from Canon that is going to have pretty much what everyone wants. You know, great video specs, no crop, 2 SD card. Happens that this camera actually had 1 SD card, kind of terrible video specs with a 1.7 crop, and the camera was kind of like, okay, it was the first mirrorless, so a lot of us, like myself, that own an EOS R and actually still shoot with the camera, we were like, okay, first camera, let's give Canon a chance to actually redeem themselves. So with the EOS R5, this is the chance that they have to really find redemption. Also, this is the chance for them to actually gain a lot of their followers back. You know, remember, a lot of Canon shooters, including myself, I switched to Sony 6 years ago. So a lot of Sony users were Canon users before, and chances are that a lot of them, they have glass, and they will love to actually come back to Canon with a camera that is very reliable. Now, not only reliability is one of the things that we're gonna be looking for in this camera, but price. This camera needs to be priced right. Now, if Canon prices this camera outrageously, they're gonna have a problem because not only the camera is expensive, but also all the RF glass is very expensive, at least the RF glass that we have until this day. Now, why this camera needs to be priced right? Well, this camera needs to be able to compete with what Sony at least has going on right now. And I know that this camera is gonna have better specs, for example, 4K 10-bit recording that Sony doesn't have, but Sony has one of the best autofocus out there. Also, Sony has gained popularity among content creator. A lot of people have a lot of Sony glass laying around, and remember, switching to a system like this one, the RF system, entails for you to shell out a lot of money. That glass is expensive, and every single glass that they have released, at least the primes, are pretty big and heavy. So that is something that people are gonna keep in mind, because if you're a Sony shooter, you're probably gonna think twice changing to a system that is going to entail for you to buy a lot of new glass to actually have flexibility with your focal ranges, and the camera is priced really expensive. So I will buy this camera if this camera is actually priced up to $3,800. I don't care about 8K recording, and while 8K recording raw internal is something really good to have in a camera, sounds really good in specs, chances are that a lot of us are not even going to be able to edit that 8K recording. Now, 8K actually has a lot of disadvantages for us content creators that want to create fast and go back to edit, in the least amount of time. So 8K may be actually a roadblock for a lot of us. First of all, there are not a lot of computers out there, or at least a lot of us in general don't have computers that can actually process that 8K recording. The other thing is that you're gonna have to buy CF Express cards of large capacity, and those cards are actually really expensive. So 8K can start not only being expensive, but also being really hard to manipulate, especially if you're a content creator that wanna film, edit, post. So what are most people are going to be looking in this camera is, number one, that the camera is going to have the basic features spot on. Great autofocus performance, which Canon actually is known for having great autofocus performance. I think that it's not at the same level where Sony is at right now, but the EOS R does a pretty fair job, and we think that the R5 is going to have an even better autofocus performance. The other thing that people want for this camera is for this camera to have 2 card slots, and in this case we're going to have SD and CF Express card in this camera, so those boxes are checked in. What else this camera is going to do? 10-bit internal. So we're going to have 4K 10-bit internal in this camera. So this camera is going to be featuring a lot of the things that we've been asking for, and the 8K capability of this camera is going to be the icing on the cake, but I don't think that it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be using. So $3,500, $3,800 is what we think this camera is going to have to be priced at. And if it's $4,000, probably I am going to stretch myself and go towards that environment of expensiveness. Now, I own RF glass, so in my opinion, you know, I kind of like want to see a camera that I can rely on and call this is the Canon that I use for all my needs. And the EOS R actually does not do that, especially for the terrible crop. So would you be buying this camera for $6,000, or do you think that the price should be below $4,000? We'd love to hear your opinion. Drop your comments down below. Again, as always, subscribe to the channel because we're gonna bring more rumors and more conclusions as this camera comes close. And remember, this camera is set to be announced in July 1st. So until then, guys, see you later.